Today was bad. Light work, people. Light work. Seems we're soft all over the pitch. Good evening. Welcome to Redfellas on a Sunday night. What a better place to be. Absolutely the perfect place to be. Sorry, we're a little bit late today. About 5-6 minutes late? But as you can see, just like the Reds, we needed to call in the squad. It's a squad game. You got to remember this. And we have got the best squad in the business. Evan let me down last minute, so I have a go at him. I think he's a bit shy because he shaved off his moustache this week. And people have been having a go at him because he looks like... I can't say what he looks like. It's not okay. It's not past yet. It's not past a certain time yet. But first and foremost, I've got to welcome Sam to the show. He's making his debut. Sam, last minute step in, but we know you're a legend. Thank you so much for popping in, pal.
No, it's good, mate. We've been trying to get this hooked up for ages, hasn't it? But I was sick. Then I was at the game.
You're a man in demand. You're a man in demand. That's what it is. So many clubs after you. Do you know what I mean? Trying to get agreed personal terms of you is such a. But listen, we got you. It might be a loan. It might be a loan to buy. Whatever it is, we're happy to have you, pal. Nice one. And of course, I've got the legend that is Errol. Errol, I know you've been a busy man today. I hope your energy levels haven't dropped. I know they haven't dropped because this means special. I know the derby means something special to you. So welcome, bro.
Yes, my bro. Thank you for having me back. It's been a couple of weeks, but yeah, today I was up for it from early today, to be fair. So I've still got a little bit of energy. So no better place to be tonight. So I'm glad everyone that was in the watch along earlier has jumped over to this. It's going to be popping.
Absolutely. And I've got the man himself, the calmest man on the Redfellas, always level-headed, always calm, never gets too excited, never gets too down. Mr. Conroy Talks, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Grizz. Buzzing to chat about the game today, to be honest. I think as soon as Andy Robertson scored, Grizz probably was shaking his head. Grizz probably didn't even celebrate. He probably went, oh, here we go again. No, listen, I was, you know what? You didn't even come into my thoughts this week. I'm disappointed. I'm sorry. I apologize. But when Robbo scored, I was just too engrossed. I thought if there could be one man to score against Everton in terms of he gets the shithousery side that they fucking employed, right, in the first half, it had to be Robertson or Milner. But Milner's not on the pitch, so he's got to be Robertson. So I was just busy. It was beautiful, Grizz. Honestly, guys, I know we're going to get into it, but if you go down Twitter, right, the amount of people that they tweet Everton fans I just want to punch Andy Robertson so much. He's just got one of those faces throughout it. And then to see him just basically go crazy. And that was his first goal at the Kop. He scored a lot of goals. He never scored at the Kop before. So it was quite fitting, I've got to be honest. It really was.
Has he never scored at the Kop? I didn't know that.
No. He's never hardly scored, Sam. That's like...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's scored a few, but it's always either away. He's not scored a lot, but he has got a handful. It's usually... It was the other end. You've got Anfield Road end and you've got a few away goals, but he never scores.
Villa,
yeah.
I can't even... Oh, the Villa one was mad, wasn't it? Very similar as well. Back post header. Yeah. But listen, people are saying change the name from bitters to softies. Errol, have to start with you. Obviously, Conroy's done the banner and it says LFC 2 bitter 0. Mm-hmm. They were so bitter today, weren't they? So bitter.
Oh, mate, it was unbelievable. And it just epitomised their performance for me, just that level of... There was so much needle to it. I got very cautious from the outset, from early, thinking we're going to steamroll them. But then I reversed just before we went, we was doing the team news, and I said, you know what, actually, they're going to put up a bit of fight today. They're going to have a little bit of bite between the teeth. They're going to have that bit between it, and they're going to be up for it. They're not going to be like Man U. They're not going to have a soft core. And I thought that might be their only saving grace. And to be fair, they didn't fail to disappoint in that respect. They made it feel like a real derby. And even though with Liverpool versus Man U, and I mentioned this a couple of times because obviously we've played them both in the same week, the gulf in class between us and Man U, we've not really been able to ultimately demonstrate enough in the last couple of years. But Everton, we've had no problem demonstrating it, whether we play the kids, whether we play the full strength team. We're just a different level above yous. Whereas today, they dragged us into their dogfight for that first 45 minutes.
They did, Errol, and that was the only thing that annoyed me, really annoyed me, because Conrad, we done the preview show yesterday, and I was too calm, and I said, I'm too calm. I don't know why I'm so calm. Obviously, it's because our team's so fucking good, and it's given us this calmness over the years, and it's built us up to this level of calmness where we go into games thinking whatever happens, we'll find a way, we'll work it out. If we don't blitz them, we stay patient, we stay calm. I knew that it's not going to be a walk in the park, like a training ground exercise, like it was last week against, not even last week, a few days ago, wasn't it? Against Man United. I knew it's going to be hard work for at least a period of the game. I didn't think it's going to be 45 minutes of hard work. How was your mood going into the game?
Probably similar, to be honest. I actually do think, looking back, the Man U game is the prime example of we're class, but when the tactics of another team are open, it does exaggerate the way football goes. Like, football is teams who play a low block or defensively good tactics like that we see all the time. Like, there is teams who are good at that, and you have to be patient in games. I do think, even myself, who's quite like consistent with that, I was a bit complacent going into the day, thinking, do you know what? Yeah, maybe the first 20, 25 minutes, you know, the usual script, but usually before half time, we'll start at least creating chances. That was the thing that got me, Grizz. I know we're going to go into that, but that was the thing that got me about the first half. But in general, I felt like, you know, we'll have more than enough. I felt pretty confident. I still do feel like I felt this was going to be more of a fight than during the week. Like, I had no doubts about that, no qualms. I think even during the commentary of the Man United game, says Everton, or whatever Everton do, they're not going to just go down like that. They're not going to. They'll make a battle if they can, or they'll at least, you know, let's say illegally make it so. So you know there's going to be something there. However, I'm very similar to how you felt going into the game. Confident that we get it done. It didn't pan out as comfortable as I thought it would be.
Sam, as far as weeks go, as a Liverpool fan, or as far as seasons go so far, but in terms of, we just chop it up into a week. Man City, we smashed the shit out of at Wembley. We've already had a League Cup win. We go to Wembley and smash the shit out of the best team in Europe, whatever. Then we smash the shit out of our most fiercest rivals in terms of silverware, you know what I mean? And then we possibly, hopefully, praying we relegate our neighbours. I mean, as far as weeks go, where does this rank for you as a Liverpool fan?
Do you know what? There's a few weeks in history that we look back at.
Yeah.
So we got the Manchester United Real Madrid week. But
Solid.
in the end, like, I remember both of those games. I was fortunate enough to go to the 4-1 game, and obviously the Real Madrid game was at home. And it was amazing, but eventually it came to nothing. Whereas this time it doesn't feel like that. It's not going to come to nothing. Even if it comes to a final day shootout with City, it's still something. You know, the opportunities we've got to win the Champions League, the FA Cup, on top of our League Cup, we are a serious team. But I'll be honest with you, you know, when the fixtures were being talked about at the beginning of April after the international break, and they were talking about Liverpool's month and how probably up until Everton, they were talking about how difficult our April's going to be. Now, don't get me wrong, Man City away in the league was the one we looked at and were like, tricky. It was. It showed that they were bang up for it, but we got what we wanted. And then everything from that, for me, is downhill. Nothing ever will compare to Man City away. Even Champions League final against City, you're still not playing in their stadium. So for me, getting out of there alive just meant that every other game this season was going to be easier than that game, no matter what happened. And then it was like, oh, we got through Benfica at our own pace. Yeah, we let him free, whatever. City was always going to be tough, and we got the job done. We were miles better than them. It flattered them, the scoreline. But Man U and Everton was always going to be... Those two games were perfect for us. Playing Newcastle away and Villa away this week would have been a nightmare. But to roll game to game, playing Man U at home when they're shit, to then go on to playing Everton at home when they're shit. And I'll be honest with you, I thought we were going to steamroll them today. I knew they'd be up for it, but I just thought they were going to be not good enough to get near us. And as you boys have already said, we went down to their level. But I knew this week, after we beat City at Wembley, we would just steamroll through United and City. And we have done, really. 83% possession is a disgrace. They deserve to go down. I hope it's the last time I see them for 5-10 years at Anfield, apart from in the FA Cup third round.
Errol, I confess that, in fact, we done a show on. I was kindly asked onto the Red Men show a few weeks back, and one of the debates was, "Do you want Everton to go down?" I remember it now.
Yeah, I
And
remember
at the time, and at the time, I didn't care, but at the time, I said that the turning point was Lampard joining them. So since Lampard's joined them, I decided I want them to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I haven't given it much thought because we've got so much bigger fish to fry as Liverpool Football Club. We don't give a shit about United and Everton right now. And that is such a fucking feeling. We literally don't give a shit about them. We don't care about them. We just laugh at them on a weekly basis. Today, my mind was made up. At the final whistle or during the game or whatever, I don't want to see them again. Like, it's like Sam says, like, I hope they don't come back, right? Because today, don't get me wrong, there was only one way they were going to play today. Absolutely. I actually got it wrong. On the previous show, I thought they're going to go 5 at the back. I thought they're going to go 5 at the back and then play Delph, Decore, and Allen.
9 at the back.
Yeah, but they went worse. And the tactics they employed, I thought Lampard was Poundland Mourinho today. He tried his absolute best to do Mourinho-esque type shithouse performance in that first half. On a scale from 1 to 10, how mad was you? Like 10 being the extreme. Like, I was fuming in that first half. A lot for us as well. I was fuming with my boys as well. But watching them was making me go madder.
Bro, I was vexed. And you know what else vexed me was the referee decisions. Some of those decisions were just a little bit bonkers for me today. And if that referee gets because it's a derby, sometimes you want to let things go a little bit. You want to make sure that there's still a good flow to the game. But if that referee just drew a line under some of their bullshit and their shithousery from first 10, 15 minutes, half of that shit that happens towards the back end of the first half doesn't happen. And he didn't get a grip of it, and he didn't really command his authority on the game. And I think people were saying, on Twitter, the ref was wearing a red shirt. Was he fucked? The ref was just as bad for us as he was for them. So that was playing into the fact that I wasn't enjoying it. And then Gordon just turning into prime Tom Daly, fucking Richarlison turning into Poundland Neymar, fucking Pickford, I just want to punch his head in. Like, all of these players, I swear, like, all of them, I just fought from front to back. I just was fuming. So I was up there as 8, 9. And I think you're right, Chris, what you were saying. I was on the fence, and I said this in the watch along. I was on the fence and decided that at one point it was funny because it looked like he was nailed on to go down. And then when they give themselves a lifeline, I was like, all right, they bailed themselves out of trouble. They're getting out of Dodge. I can live with it because look at the wealth of riches we're going to end up with at the end of the season. But after watching that 90 minutes, like Sam said, I don't want my son to grow up knowing what a derby is. It's as simple as that. I don't want him to know what a derby is. He'll be hearing me talking to the boys and about, remember when we used to have the derby? He'll be thinking, Dad, what the fuck's a derby? Don't want to know about it, son. Don't worry. That's what I want from now on.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I didn't know what you meant, but the way you've explained it and the way everything panned out today and the way the atmosphere apparently around the ground, the songs, the chants, the behavior of certain sections, and we know every section of every club has rats. Every club, right, has rats, and United showed their ratty side on the other day, and the Everton showed it today. But we're not going to get into that. We'll try to talk about the ongoings on the pitch. And Conroy, lineups. I know hindsight's a wonderful thing and everything, and we can all pretend to be smart as me, but even you can't be as smart and say we weren't happy with that lineup, because I, for one, first was slightly not shocked, slightly surprised that it was as strong. Like, for example, I thought Thiago might get a rest today. I thought Matip might get a rest today, but we went near enough full strength. Obviously, we're going to come on to debate the Diaz scenario, but there was no qualms with that lineup, surely, right?
Yeah, and as I say, like, I agree, Grizz, and I think I've said this before, the front three is not a front three, it's a front five, so whatever of those three get picked, that's it. Don't think there's anything to complain about. It's not 11 men's game anymore, it's a squad game. I think you're seeing now why it's a squad game, why the rotation works, why we're still getting through, touch wood, in these competitions and still in the league title. I was happy with it, to be honest. Jota, we all know he's not been in great form, but what I would say is he maybe thought he would have started with Jota in the middle and Mane on the left. However, Mane's been so good down the middle, so like, you know what I mean? You can't really complain either way with that one. You understand why he's playing Jota because you know he's got the finish in him. And I've said at the start, I know some people have been reactionary as of late about Jota can't link up. Well, that's nonsense because he could at the start. But right now, we all know he's not in good form. And I agree, he's not in good form. And ultimately, we'll talk about that. But on the basis of what they can potentially do in the park, I was quite happy with that lineup. And then you say, I don't know if Kanate might come in during the week, and that's why he played Joe, possibly Grizz. And then, yeah, Cato or Henderson, that's a flip of a coin at the moment as well. And Henderson, obviously, he started during the week as well. So happy with the team.
Sam, happy with the team lineup? It's big calls, and big coaches make big calls. And now we've got a big squad. Jurgen's got the flexibility to make these type of calls, and whatever happens, it doesn't weaken our 11. Like I tweeted in the morning, like I sensed a bit of rotation, and I said, whatever happens, it's still not going to look weak. Like Klopp alluded to afterwards, he said, it's the hardest footballing decisions I've had to make in my life recently, like the likes of, I know Origi started today, but the likes of Harvey Elliott, Minamino, Curtis Jones, Oxlade-Chamberlain, not even in the squad. It just shows you suddenly, it's seemingly like slyly upon us, Klopp, with the help of obviously Edwards and FSG and whatnot, has built a magnificent squad right here.
It's ridiculous. And it's not even, do you know what? Diaz obviously come in, but it's also the fact that we finally got the players back that we already had, like your Thiagos, your Elliots, your Curtis Jones, who had a weird 3 months with all kinds of strange injuries and COVID more than once. So I think it's a culmination of bringing Diaz in and then everybody else kind of being fit. So it all happened at one time, which has then obviously led to something that Klopp's not used to. In terms of the lineup, the released lineups that we were getting sent, I mean, from nowhere reliable. I'm sure we all probably seen the one that was flying around. And I saw some news earlier that Mane and Salah were going to be rested. So I was like, wow, when I got the message in the pub, I was like, this is insane. I can't believe that's the team we're putting out. But all Klopp needs to do now is every game we play, make 2 changes. And he's playing a player for 2 games, then resting him. So we think, Everton's the perfect game. And I was the same as you. I thought we'd have Simicast today. I thought we might even have Gomez. I thought we might see Curtis Jones. I thought we might see Hendo in the 6. Bobby probably does play if he's fit, but he's not. And stuff like that. So I think, but what he'll do is he'll make 2 changes on Wednesday, and then come Newcastle, there'll be a further 2 changes, and it'll just be like that. And then you'll suddenly see after like 7-8 games that everyone's had 1 game from the bench, and it's just enough to keep them going. It's just amazing. And I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe we bring Sadio Mane, Jota off, and bring on Luis Diaz. You know, I can't believe we can bring off Naby Keita, who's in fine form, and bring on our captain. It's unbelievable what we can do now. And bring on Lord Div, you know, and just like the fact that we can just pull someone out the closet and say, it's your turn, mate, come on, you're on the bench. Then he comes on and does what he does. It's unbelievable. And the morale we've got, the chemistry, there's no words. You don't get seasons like this very often. So we just need to enjoy it and hope for the best.
Absolutely. Asim sends in a super chat. Appreciate the support, my friend. He says, anti-football was beaten today by great management. The quad is on the way, lads. Great show up the Reds. We all echo those sentiments. This is quite disturbing. Like over 350 now watching, and only 97 likes. So either there's a lot of bitters in here, pardon the pun, right? Or you guys are playing like Everton at the moment. Like, come on, up your game, lads. Like, this is like a moment of celebration for us. We've had the week we've had. So, but Errol, anti-football it was, whatever it was. It shouldn't have come as a surprise. Now it's time to talk about the game. And from our point of view, from my aspect, I thought Man United was the worst dress rehearsal for this, if you know what I mean. Like, it was such a fucking training ground exercise, and Ole's everywhere, no pressure on the ball, and absolutely dog shit formation, and no idea how to play that 5 at the back or close down spacing and passing lanes. This was the total opposite. They closed down every single passing lane. They pressed every single person. Doucouré was asked to stand on Thiago and Richarlison was asked to try to get Fabinho sent off as soon as possible. The tactics were so obvious, such shithousery. We should have done better, in my opinion.
Yeah, we probably should have, but you mentioned, you made a good point there in the fact that Man U was probably a shit dress rehearsal for this type of game.
Yeah.
I think that this was a brilliant dress rehearsal for Villarreal, and I don't necessarily think Villarreal will probably come at us.
What a shout.
With the same sort of needle and probably aggression, but in terms of how compact they'll be and how regimented and how focused they'll be on just kind of being a bit of a low block side, I think that is how they will try and get joy out of it. I think Everton sat too deep though at times, and probably the only thing from our perspective was we were in the first 10 to 15 minutes, I think it was just a bit too bitty. There was no real fluidity within the passing and the movement. And I think one of the triggers for their press was when Thiago got on the ball. As soon as Thiago gets the ball, try and close him down as quickly as possible. Don't give him a minute to get his head up and try and find the pass. And he doesn't really need a minute because he'll do blind passes and still pull them off. But there was a few noticeable passes that, like, even though we had such a good high percentage, I think it was just on the sheer number of volume of passes we was making as opposed to getting them off perfect. And there was a few sloppy balls. I don't think Trent offensively offered a lot today really for us. I think he made good movements, but I don't think his final overall ball was the best. And I think, yeah, it just became a bit of a slog for us in that first half. And in terms of the ideas of how he was going to break them down, I think we got to a point where we was a little bit unsure. And as the half went on, from my perspective, I was looking at it thinking it might just take a set piece. It might just take something where, you know, we stand on them and we kind of just stop them from kind of blocking everything that's in front of them. And it didn't really happen in that first half, as we say. And I think the fact that their tactic was to kind of be bitty, waste time, spoil the flow, don't let us get settled. All of those things kind of disrupted, where, as you said perfectly before, Man U gave us the fucking ball. Do what you want. Here's the keys to my yard. Chill, set up, put the PlayStation 5 on, do your thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was their approach to it, but Everton was the complete opposite. And I think it was a bit of a shock to our system originally until we finally figured out a way. And I think Klopp's game management was probably the master stroke to that more than anything else. But yeah, in that first half, I know we're just talking about that at the minute, I think that first half for me was the one where I was and ahhing, and I think I was just allowing myself to get a little bit too frustrated.
We're going to come on to his game management, and I'm going to give my theory on it as well. Not that it's worth anything, but, you know, it's good to talk in it amongst friends. That's what we are. Conroy, I think Errol's being too kind to Trent in saying that his final pass was. But Errol, you know, Errol's a top red, and he's never gonna. He's a proper top red. Trent started off like he was asleep, slept on the road, didn't get home until 7 a.m. in the morning. All of that. Trent he was not awake at all, and he's not.
He was in Wembley last night.
That's exactly what it was. 100%, because he's not young anymore in terms of saying, look, it happens. I think he's grown into a very, very mature fullback. And obviously we know his elite levels that he can reach. But up against, we're going to go on to that little rat, but he played well, the rat, right? He's a good rat, like in terms of talent-wise, but he's an absolute shithouse, right? It could have cost us those early moments, because there was a couple of times where Trent was just totally unaware of his surroundings. But that kind of emanated across the team. And like Errol says, we were passing it for the sake of passing it, totally opposite of Man United, because we were passing it incisively. But then we were finding spaces. We couldn't find spaces. Do you put that down to, I don't know. What do you put that down to? Is it just time to give a teeny weeny bit of credit to the way they set up? Because I thought, shithouse, and I hate him to fucking guts, right? Lampard. I thought he got the first half spot on.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And I think as well, you need to remember, we spoke about Man United, you score early, that changes everything. And I think we do need to remember complexions of the game. That's a big thing. We tend to score quite a lot in games where we've not started great and we score maybe the 35th minute, and then everyone forgets that there was this kind of, we're not patient. And I don't think we're the most, like, we're okay, but I think you hear it in commentary all the time, emphasise you need to be patient. And I think when the players aren't patient, that does worry me sometimes, because I understand fans getting anxious, but players shouldn't. But listen, everyone's human. But on the first half, to be honest, I think credit where credit's due. I feel like, see, if Everton didn't end that with so much kind of like the play acting, there's always going to be some of that, but to the extent and the fouling, they probably, after this weekend, Lampard would probably get more managerial credit for the tactics. We were poor, don't get me wrong, but they need to do something to make us poor, because look at our front three. If they're just like given, as you said, Errol, the keys to the yard, we're going to score. So you need to be fair. You need to have a bit of a balance there. But I think so. It's a mixture of both. But on Trent, Grizz, I've got to be honest, the best way I can describe with Trent today is because I don't like when you've got someone who's always so consistently great offensively to have a go at him when he has a poor game. But the crazy thing about Trent is you could tell straight away, it's like, I think he gave the ball away 3 times and it wasn't even like a Hollywood pass he was trying.
Simple.
And it was like simple. But then when you've got a playmaker, a right back who's so vital to the way you want to play, or he's so impactful, that it's very, I'm like Errol, I don't want to like throw him under the bus or anything like that, because he is amazing. But what I would say is the best example today is Andy Robertson had 2, and Andy Robertson never does diags. He had 2 diagonals in the first half, right? And Trent didn't even look at like a pass like that. Didn't make one of those, any passes in the first half like that. So what I mean is, you've got someone who does that constantly, and it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment, but you could tell he just wasn't at the races today. I don't know what was wrong with him, but for someone who's so vital, he just had a bad game, and it happens. I think sometimes you have games defensively where he gets caught out, and he's had this season where he's improved a lot in that sense. But most games you can see his attacking display is always on point. Just today it wasn't, but you know what, it happens. It really does. They can have a bad game, but in general, I think Gordon does deserve, as much as his reputation's probably going to get down after today and the previous games where he's diving and the way he's acted and stuff like that, but actually causing problems for our midfielders and our defenders to slide into stupid challenges and get booked and potentially miss a game further down the line. I think he done them a few times with that. And at times, I think it wasn't a penalty, but we were fortunate that further action wasn't given with decisions. So
we're gonna perfectly segued into that, because I'm gonna ask Sam his opinion on two Evertonians, Gordon and Richarlison in that first half. Now Gordon, I thought was the first time I laid my eyes on him, I'm going to be honest, was the first derby at their place. Do you remember he started and he dived like 2-3 times, and eventually he was given a yellow card. In fact, he was given the yellow card, which was less of a dive than the previous one I remember in the game.
And we got a foul, didn't we, for the one?
And we got a foul.
Yeah.
So, what goes around comes around type thing, right? And we obviously will go on to what goes around comes around today as well. But his behavior for a young kid, Sam, right? Because let's not be bitter, because that's not our style. We're Liverpool, we're classy, right? The guy's got something about him as a player, and he showed it today, right? He was the only threat from Everton, right? But his behavior, right, for a young kid in the Premier League, and he's got his whole career ahead of him, surely someone's got to have a word with him that you can't carry on the way you've started your career, young man. And it doesn't help when the senior player that he's looking up to is Richarlison, who's probably the worst in the Premier League at that. So, is this a Lampard problem, an issue that he should have a word with Richarlison? You fucking rubbing off on the younger players, you twat. Yeah? Or Gordon, because Gordon's got a career ahead of him if he cuts that shit out, right?
Do you know what it is, right? I think we give managers too much credit for their model. Yeah. I think Lampard's telling him, if you get touched in the box, anyone comes anywhere near you, hit the deck like you've been shot from by a sniper on the top of the stadium. Honestly, if you think that Frank Lampard's coming into that game after they've just been hitting the bottom 3 by Burnley winning 2 games on the spin since they last played, he's thinking, Gordon, you're rapid, you're quicker than Liverpool's left side or right side if you're on our side. The minute you get touched, whether it's a free kick, you're going down. I think he's encouraging it. And I completely agree.
Yes,
I like Anthony Gordon. I'll be honest with you. I think he's a quality young player. I think believe it or not, his family are all Liverpoolians, so that's an interesting one. A bit like Ross Barkley, so he's turned to the dark side, as Carragher did to us, and Robbie Fowler et al. So for me, I quite like Anthony Gordon. I think he'll do well. I think he might leave Everton this summer if they go down, when they go down, and go somewhere else. And he's a bit like Harvey Barnes in his explosiveness. He doesn't look like he should be quick.
Good shout. Good comparison. Really good. Harvey Barnes and him, yeah.
But you are right as well, Richarlison. Listen, you know what? I never condone violence, right? Ever. But
I sense
only statement I will attach to Richarlison is, you know, when something happens and you say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. He's not in that category. I would wish anything on him. I hate that man. Honestly, I despise him. He is. I hate Bruno Fernandes, yeah. I used to hate Lingard. I've got a little bit of respect for him from what he's gone through, but Bruno's there. Richarlison, 100 foot above my housemate. Like, I hate him. He's horrible. Putting stuff on Instagram about us. He deserves everything he gets. He deserves to get his wages cut by 100% in the summer. Stay at Everton, go down to League One. He's disgusting.
Don't let that.
The way he's lying on the pitch for 10 minutes while the game's carrying on. Your team's in trouble. The ref's clearly not giving you a free kick. Get up and fight. He's dirty. And that will rub off on Gordon.
Yes.
And I think that's a problem. So although I am saying Lampard's not helping, which I kind of think most managers would do anyway, but if your senior forward is Richarlison, you've got to have some serious sort of inner strength to develop beyond that, because he's not a role model. He's horrible. And Liverpool's Brazilian players shouldn't be sharing flights with them from now on, as far as I'm concerned.
And the thing is, Sam, he's the thing about Richarlison that always gets me is he would do that, and then he would not think twice about ending someone's career, I think. And you might say, oh, how can you prove that corner? But yeah, I've just seen, it's not just Liverpool sending offs. I've seen stuff. You talk about Thiago, you talk about things. I think he's done that. No remorse. That could break someone's leg. And you can break your leg in some challenges, but come on, guys. You know when, don't tell me, oh, I didn't mean it. Like, you can tell when a player goes out and means it. And there's been too many instances with him. And I think that's you're taking the piss when that's the case, and you can continually do that. I just think it's ridiculous.
Do you know, of all the decisions in the game, there was a few you could, here, there, and everywhere, but there's one decision the referee got massively wrong, and it was Richarlison's red card.
Me and Errol just spoke about that actually before.
There's nothing else going on, but I'm saying, linked to this, of all decisions in the game that we can go, yeah, maybe on another day, or VAR, or that one decision was easy. He should have, and that's just a measure of his character. He could have missed 3 games there in their last 6, which kills them. But he's tapped, and that's the problem.
Do you know what? I agree with you. I totally slipped. I didn't even mention that in my notes because it's carried away with everything else. But you're right. That was probably the most easiest decision to make, and everyone's fucking harping on. We're going to come on to the penalty or not penalty or whatever the situation is, but. Errol, that first half, we got embroiled in too many scuffles. I get it. It's a derby and it's a bit of a throwback. We like a bit of rough and tumble. It's part and parcel of the game. I'm totally not one of these guys that think they should have bent over backwards for us. All right? But what we're good at, I found, and this is giving me, I think I spoke to you before about this as well, and I know me and Conor have discussed it. The reason why I'm so calm before games, and this is giving me 2018-19 vibes where the football might not be amazing all the time, but we're working out ways how to win a game. And again, I could see it. I knew we're going to work out a way how to deal with this in the second half. And one of the ways 100% would have been keep fucking walking away from these scums every time they try to do shit, because they're just doing shithousery after shithousery. And we've mentioned 2, but we haven't mentioned the third one, right? Pickford. Now, his antics obviously come back to haunt him, and he's the laughing stock of the Premier League tonight, right? But the referee makes me go mad in these situations, Errol. Why isn't the referee, why is he stopping for every challenge on Richarlison? Because wherever the challenge is, he's holding his head and going down, because he knows that only head injuries get stopped with, right? 4. Why is the referee not picking up on that? And Pickford, from the 3rd minute, was getting the ball and diving on the floor, wasting time. When are referees going to wake up and see this? And then guess what, lads? 2 minutes are added on at the end of the first half. 2 fucking minutes. Was you as mad as me, or am I weird?
No, bro, I was in the same boat. It was all of those things. It was a combination of all these little layers, and I think that was what Everton's game plan was. It wasn't to be technically brilliant at the football.
Yeah.
It was all of the anti-football stuff, as the comments have said, that kind of added to their performance in that first half. And I personally said that midfield, we had nice guys. Naby, nice guy. Thiago seems like a nice guy. Fabinho seems like another nice guy. If we would have had Hendo,
he was way too friendly. You know Sam's point about the Brazilian lads shouldn't sit next to him on the plane. I think Fabinho was way too nice with Richarlison. You know, he was way too nice with him. You just told him to fuck off. What are you doing?
What are you playing at, Joe? I mean, you can speak to him in his language, so you can tell him some real curse words. You get me, and fill his head with the shit that he knows is going to sting. And I just had that feeling like, you know, we asked the question at half time in the watch along, would we make any substitutions? And I said, the only one I would make is probably, I would have made Henderson first, just on this basis that I want one. And I fell for the trap of the complete opposite of you. Yeah, I believe we will find a way to work a way to get a goal and win the game. But we need one of our lads to leave something on them now. If we can crunch them, they'll shrink like a shrinking fucking virus, and they'll realise that they can't just have it their whole way the whole game. I think Jota in the first half, he shows a little bit of needle when he comes out of a tackle, and he looks like he leaves an arm in somewhere. And I think Mane in the melee that happens towards the end as well, he kind
grabs
of
someone's face. Yeah.
So they had that little bit of gnaw to them, which is great. But again, as Conroy mentioned, you don't want to give any stupid yellow cards that might come back to bite us in the arse in 2-3 games down the line. So we had to compose ourselves and find a measure of professionalism that the game didn't really want to allow us. And it was difficult from a fan's perspective because all I wanted was someone to just fly into a tackle and a challenge and leave one on them badly. But again, that shows the emotive side of a fan as opposed to the professional ability and capability of world-class talent. And, you know, sometimes, you know what it's like, innit? You've been in a bar before, and there's that guy, and he's talking the hardest, and he's the loudest man in the room, and he's got a lot to say. And then the next minute, some quiet guy just comes up to him and just one slap and just leaves him KO'd on the floor. I ain't talking to you. I'm gonna leave it there, and that's my statement. That was Liverpool for me. Liverpool's slap was our footy slaps harder than any of your dirty shithousery ever could. So you do what you're going to do. You keep talking the hardest, but we're just going to prove it on the pitch. And it makes you proud when you can see your team do that, because we ran the risk of being dragged down to their level. And if that would have continued for 30 more minutes, that would have been Frank's game plan to a T. Get to 70 minutes, 75 minutes, 0-0 with something to play for, and then we'll throw the kitchen sink at it.
Absolutely. Listen, we're just over halfway into the show. There's over 520 reviews in here. Get that likes button up, because I tell you what, we're coming to the good bits right now. If you think this was good, we're getting to the real exciting part of the second half. Conroy, segue into the second half, and Nicholas, a regular contributor to the channel, he says, great result. But how comes when Liverpool don't score in the first half, everybody wants Jota off? Hasn't he proven he deserves to play 90 minutes? I've come to you because, you know why I've come to you, but yeah. I wasn't asking for Jota off at halftime, but I was asking for Diaz to be brought on sooner rather than later. With Jonathan's point, why is Jota seemingly the fool guy or the fans perception? Because do you remember I was at the Arsenal game and I said to everyone, I told you the story where everyone was getting mad about take Jota off, and I was like, just leave him on. If we get a chance, Jota's going to put it away. I know he's not playing well. And again, yesterday we spoke about who's our best finisher amongst the strikers that we got. And I think Jota won the overall vote. Like, if there's a chance to fall for any of our players, it's Jota. I don't think none of the front lads were having a great game. I think he was probably the quietest, but what was your thoughts on the situation at halftime in terms of substitutions, and was you asking for change?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think Jota's in the purest form, so I think ultimately that's the answer, straightforward, because none of the front three done anything. Barring Salah had a decent first half, and by the way, I'm not one who just says Salah always has a decent half. I will tell when he's not in a good half. Like some people, Salah does a 4 out of 10 performance, so I know he's decent. No, he was decent this first half, but it's like he looked to be kind of taking initiative first half, which was good to see, because he's had some games recently where he's had spells of the game, but other quieter spells, or he's been marked out. So Salah was good, but I think Mane and Jota struggled. Basically, they were coming so deep, and it was like the link up, there was not a pass on. So it's like, well, that's great. So are you just going to beat 10 men now? Like, because you've got the ball deep. And just, I'm not saying it was the individual's fault at the time, but I felt when they had the ball at the left, it was just a link up, it wasn't on it. I think, as I say, that the low block and the United game was a terrible dress rehearsal, because there was space in that game and there was no space in the first half. I think with regard to Jota, as I say, it's the poor form. And also, I need to add this, but this is a pet hate. It does my head in. See, at halftime, Klopp has made a change at halftime, I think, 5 times in his Liverpool career. So he's never really, the percentages he's going to make a change at halftime is not going to happen. So we should maybe call this the 60-minute sub going forward, because you go in at halftime, oh, should do this. Well, I've never seen him make a reactionary change like the Twitter fan base. So we'll maybe change that terminology, the 60-minute sub. For me, I understand the Diaz thing. Grizz, I was saying that as well. I saw your tweet. To me, Diaz, for 59 minutes, 60 minutes, that's when you bring him on, because the guy's just in great form right now. So completely get that. If you're talking about, I think, I don't know if someone asked why Jota got kept on and Mane came off. I think that's a fair question. I think it's more to do with if you're playing a 4-2-4 and you're actually having kind of 2 strikers with Salah and Diaz out wide, you're probably going to have Jota, because as I say, he's more a fox in the box. Mane can do that job as well, don't get me wrong, but I think that's why he kept Jota on.
And the yellow card as well probably played.
Yeah, card, good point as well. Yeah, good point.
I thought that. Dinesh is sent in the super chat, but I'm trying to make sense of it. If we can all work together and try and make sense of this. Dinesh probably had a bit of a drink, probably.
What he likes about our front 5.
Don't score.
And Origi come on and gets a goal, front 6, not 5.
He's saying we've got 6, not 5, yeah.
Origi comes on, does not play games, and is switched on. We're going to come on to probably one of the loudest cheers probably that's taken place for a substitute to come on. Because... yeah, we start off much better, don't we, Sam? Second half. You can tell this tempo is far quicker, the passing's more crisper. We seem to have moved up 5 yards, 5-10 yards as a whole team, and compressed them in. And we're back to our best, where we don't let teams out of, like, sort of around their penalty area, where we force them to kick it long, win it back, recycle it quicker. Whereas in the first half, we were recycling it way too slow. This time it was a different tempo. But was you, again, like I was, and Conroy was thinking, was you demanding, how fucking dare we demand from Jurgen Klopp? But you know what I mean? Was you thinking, come on, Klopp, bit of Diaz and a bit of the man himself, because he's there for a reason. Bobby has pulled out of the squad for a reason, to give his spot up to Divock Origi, right? Let's make a story up in our head and believe it and go with it, right? Because Bobby's fine. He's pulled out the squad to said, look, Divock is Everton. Now, ever since that wanker, what's his name?
Funes Mori.
Funes Mori, right? Ever since he put him out of that season, was it probably majority of that season he put him out for, right? Divock Origi is the most nicest, calmest, you can tell, absolutely like senile, humble, but he's got this nasty streak in terms of damaging Everton. And this could be poetry in motion, Sam. This could be the best story ever, where his final goal for Liverpool helps relegate Everton Football Club. When he came on, feelings, and obviously that was the right sub along with Diaz, right?
Just rolling back to what Conrad was saying before about the halftime thing. I think the reason why we never see no subs at halftime is because Klopp and Linde's back their tactical ability to be able to make a change within the system. They pick a team for a reason. They do all the analysis. So they think we can just tweak this, push up the pitch 5 yards. Like, first half, we played like we were worried about getting injured. It was Chelsea second half, 1-1 at Anfield vibes. It was just off it. Second half, we just moved it quicker. You could see straight away, like say 5 yards up the pitch. So just to come back to the first question you asked me is, I wasn't feeling half-time subs. I wasn't even thinking about it, to be honest, because Everton are poor. So I didn't feel like we needed a new face to get a goal. I felt like we needed these boys. The one thing I thought was wrong was Jota on the left, Mane up front. I think when those three are on the pitch, it's got to be Jota down. And he did do that. He came out second half up front. So that the balance is naturally better. There's more pace on either flank. We just looked quicker. It looked like it was coming. Obviously, they had a couple of breakaways, but it just looked like it was coming. And then, to be honest, I wasn't even aware really that we were sort of ready in subs. And then it was like, oh, here comes 2 subs. And then who's that? I couldn't see very well. Oh, it's Diaz and Origi. And you're like, oh, who? Oh, Origi. You knew Diaz was coming on. And I was excited by that, but Origi. And then you just laugh because you just think of everyone, all of us Liverpool fans who engage in these platforms, engage online. We all just say, Divock's playing against Everton. But even Klopp believes it now. Like, Klopp believes the myth, the football gods. He's got them. He's there. He's on the same wavelength. So he knows Everton, Origi. I think we might loan him back next year for 1 month in January just to play against Everton. In fact, if I was Edwards now, I'd be trying to get special dispensation to give Origi to Burnley. Yeah, I'd be giving them to Burnley. Cancel his contract now and let Burnley sign him to the rest of the season just to bury them. He's unbelievable. And I have no words for how he does this to Everton. It's just fucking brilliant.
It's magical, mythical, and it's poetry, isn't it, Errol? Like Sam says, it's like even Klopp's believing the myth. Like, managers and coaches are too professional and they don't believe in this shit like fans do, because that's what we do. We dream up these kind of scenarios in our head and we believe it. But he's right. Sam's right. Klopp believes in it because he brings him out the wilderness. I don't think Origi's come on. I don't know. Someone in the chat remind me if Origi's come on in the last.
Oh, against Wolves, I think was the last time he scored.
That's what I was going to say. Since Wolves, I don't think he's had a minute since Wolves.
Came on in the League Cup final. That's the closest I can think. Did he even play in Nottingham Forest? I can't remember.
Semi-finals as well. Did he play in the semi-finals of the League Cup? I can't remember.
Someone in the chat.
He scored against West Ham. Scored against Wolves, and then. I think, just the League Cup. There's maybe been like a 2-minute, like last
cameo,
3 minutes
just a
or
time
something,
maybe at the end or something, but never a significant time to sort of change a game. Change a game, Errol. And he does that with his first touch. He lays it off. The thing we forget about Origi, or some people forget about Origi, he's been here a long time, and he knows the way we play during all that time. So even if we've tweaked the system and the evolution of our attack, whatever, he's still been a part of it. Whether he's had minutes or not, that's fine, but he's been part of it. So he knows all the players. He knows what Klopp wants. I can't think of a more perfect substitute stroke squad man for us in recent times or for forever, because he's so loyal to the cause. He's so humble about it. You never hear, sometimes we moan about, we don't hear enough him moaning. Do you know what I mean? Like that drive and anger. But we never hear anything about him. He's just a perfect squad man and cult hero. And he done it again.
Yeah, and mate, I live for them moments of Origi against Everton. I really do. He's put such a big smile on my face over the years. Six home appearances that he's had in the last 6 years against them, and he's bagged a goal at least. For me, and I waxed lyrical about him in one of the post-match shows before, and I'll say it again because I probably didn't summarise it as well as I could have. There was conversations yesterday in the Arsenal-Man U game about Nketiah and the fact that he's made 40 appearances off the bench. He's scored 2 goals this season, and it's probably only his 6th or 8th start or something like that. And it was, the commentators feeling a little bit of sympathy towards him about, like, how can you expect? I know he's a different, profile because he's a younger player, but how can you expect, someone as a striker to get that confidence to be able to score and go on a run and get a run of games underneath the belt because they're not able to nail down a start and spot in a team? And in complete contrast to that, you've got a lad like Divock Origi that you can roll out in moments of your season when it's hanging on a knife edge and basically saying, this is a pressurized situation. you could get slaughtered because you're the person I'm going to. And if one chance lands to you and you don't slot it, this fan base could be very toxic very quickly. Divock doesn't feel that pressure. He's not asked. He rises to the occasion time and time and time again. Wolves, Newcastle, Barcelona, Everton in the 95th minute, Everton in the 87th minute. He is just the guy for it. And bro, like when I say he is a big game player, he really is. He's got that about him. If you was looking in the market this summer for the striker that you're saying, right, I want double-digit striker, and we're going to be fighting whether you think, you know what, we'll double down on the money because we could be in a relegation battle, but I want a guy that can deal with that pressure. Origi's your man. If you're the team that's saying, I want to push into the conference of the Europa League and I need a slotter that's going to score big goals and big games for us against the top six, Origi's your man. If you're on the European continent and saying, I want to get out of the Europa League group stages, or I want to get decent run in the Champions League, Origi's your fucking man. He has got it under his belt. He's proved it time and time again. And yeah, we can make light of the fact that, you know, unfortunately, you know, that injury that we mentioned derailed his chances from ever really being able to dislodge that front three, because by the time he was fully back and fit enough, that front three had cemented itself and we had moved away from the style we was playing pre that front three, which enabled him to get the best out of what he offered our team at the time. The system changed. He wasn't perfectly suited for it, and it was kind of the storage factor. It was, we're not going to tweak what we do to suit you. You have to tweak how you play to suit us. And if you can't do that to a certain level, that means that there's less likely that you're going to get a run of games under your belt. And he's been a casualty of that, but not once has he complained. And there have been times when I've like, if he had any hunger, he'd go elsewhere. But why? Why would you not want to be around one of the best teams in the world, achieving and making some of the best moments? And that's what footballers are all about at the end of the day. They want to make those memories. They want to win things. They want to be a part of winning teams. They want to feel that. He could have went back on loan to France and just been a mid-table team in the fucking Farmers League. He could have went back on loan or been sold in the German league. But Bayern are always going to dominate. He stuck down. He stuck to his guns and said, the fan base love me here. I've got a connection to them. I feel like Liverpool's my own. Sam, am I right in saying he's a lecturer of some sort? Or
Here we go. Mr. Sinclair, always the educator in here. He says, Liverpool's Divock Origi. Maybe if I wasn't a footballer, I'd be a psychologist. This was in The Guardian. Explains his calm demeanor. He speaks 4 languages. I think you made that, you know, the point that you made about big game player. And what's the big game player? Big game player, big games equals tension, equals pressure, equals high pressure situations. And you need someone who can absolutely wipe all that out around you and have this just calmness and focus. And I think I'm genuinely thinking Origi's one of the best I've seen in those situations. And that's why all those games that you mentioned, all those big times that you've mentioned, the Champions League final, the Everton goals, the Barca, the Wolves game last minute, Newcastle last minute. These are all high pressure, high octane. These ain't your normal goals.
He's not stat padding. Goals. He's not stat padding. Man's a game changer. Let me correct that. He is changing the course of Liverpool's history with his goals.
Whew.
Yeah, he scored the winner in Milan as well. You forget that. He scored the winner in Milan. He scored the scorpion kick in the cup.
Yeah, and the Dortmund goal. Do you get me?
He
did the season before against Arsenal as well. Scored the last minute winner or the equaliser to take us through to time against Arsenal. My guy has changed the course of history for this football club. Better believe. Put some respect on his name.
We've done that. But I feel as though we've jumped gun a little bit, and I've timed this brilliantly. And Conroy knows that one of the reasons why I'm such a brilliant host is I segue into the perfect moment into Conroy and speaking about the first goal scorer and the first goal, which is obviously Andrew Robertson. Lovely move. As we said, we spoke about Divock Origi understanding the mission, right? Bit of interplay. I know you thought Salah was okay in the first half. I thought he was okay.
No, decent first half.
I thought Salah was so good in the second half.
Yeah, no,
because I think I saw, you could see visibly he started asking for the ball more, in every situation, give me the ball. I'm on something here. I'm on something here. Obviously, he didn't get onto the score sheet, but that's his. Oh, forgot what number assist. But all I know is he's gone clear at the top of the assist chart and the goal scoring chart.
There's not going to be many ways right to it as well. So that's quite a.
But think about that. Think about that. People are talking about him last month switching off, or last 6 weeks he's been poor. He's fucking top goal scorer and top assister. So shut your mouths. Just fucking shut your mouths, man.
But Chris, is that maybe one of the issues though? You just said there that he's not got on the score sheet, but is that maybe the problem as well? Why should that matter if he's got on the score sheet or not? Like in general, like if he's not got a goal or assist, it's not a good game. I think that's a bit of an issue in general in football. It's like it's all on the stats and getting that. I know you're agreeing, Grizz, but I think that annoys me as well. It's like today he scored against Inter right away, but today he was 10 times better on ability on the park, but people say he scored in that game, and that does annoy me sometimes. I think like as long as he's playing well, just block out the noise for me.
Yeah, look. As long as he's playing well, just imagine wide forwards. Just look. Why don't people? I tell you what. Why don't people just accept that for a few weeks we haven't revolutionized the way wide forwards play in Europe? Why don't just people accept wide forwards for what they've been for the last how many years?
They're just looking for a weakness, Chris. They're just looking to put you down. That's what it
is. Because it's glaringly obvious. We had a call-in show last night, and one caller made the most fantastic point. He said people talk about wide forwards and not playing without a recognized striker. He goes, well, the first one to do that was Jurgen Klopp, not Pep Guardiola this season. Because think about it, lads. That point is fucking amazing. Bobby Firmino wasn't a recognized striker, lads. He was an attacking midfielder from Hoffenheim. Sadio Mane is a recognized number 9. Mo Salah isn't a recognized number 9. We've won the league without a recognized number 9. Not City. City weren't the first ones to do it. We were the fucking first ones to do it. So put some respect on the master tactician that is Jurgen Klopp's name. But Conroy, I'm not gonna. No,
I like that point, guys.
I want you to come to this because Mo Salah gets down the right wing, puts in a cross with his right foot. People say he hasn't got a right foot. We've got Diaz, we've got Jota, we've got Mane, we've got Salah, we've got Origi. Who pops up with the far post though? Your man Andrew Robertson.
The main man.
It just epitomizes him because I know Sam was saying earlier on that there was maybe some rumors, or not rumors, but maybe we thought he might get rested. He's one player I didn't want rested in this game because he knows what it means. And that celebration, that goal, I was so chuffed to bits for him because it was a proper one of those celebrations like
spine tingling. I think it's a spine tingling moment. Like I genuinely mean that. Like I'm not going to say it because I say this all the time. I go, I'm Scottish. It pisses me off because I don't mean to say it like that. But I mean, like being from Scotland, supporting Liverpool, like there's a lot of kind of similarities to what he's done, and it's like probably a dream for a lot of people who stay in Scotland, support Liverpool, to see what he's done and achieve that. But for him to score in a Merseyside derby, his first goal at the Kop end, and the way it hit the net, it was just like the crowd going absolutely crazy. And it was just like, you could tell, like, I'm not being funny. And he has scored a few goals, but it's like he's in shock that he scored a header at the back post. He can't believe he just scored the goal. And then it's like, as he's running, he's going mental. And then he's just realised he's scored, and it's like the realisation. And then he does that, the punch in the air. And honestly, like we've seen so many great goals, and at times I think we actually forget what it means. I know football fans, like, you know what I'm saying, we see so much superb, like the goal against United the other night, just like liquid football. But that goal, just to me, spine tingling, just emotion, and just like the hairs in the back of my neck are going up talking about it. Genuinely, like I was screaming, like as usual, but I was like, is that Andy Robertson? It's Andy Robertson scored a header. I was in shock, and it was amazing. And honestly, it was like, it was needed as well, Grizz. Like it was one of them, like we'll joke about it now, but that goal, just, I think everyone, that kind of relief, just for a little, I think everyone's getting a little bit anxious, and it was a beautiful moment. And I was actually buzzing for him, and it was kind of like, do you remember, when Gerrard scores against Olympiacos, obviously not the goal, but you know how he runs down that side with like doing that? It was kind of like, I don't know if he even meant that similarity, but he was just like the arms out like that. And then, honestly, it was just a beautiful moment. And I was actually buzzing for him, to be honest, on a personal level, because I know how much like the club means to him and stuff, and for him to actually started the season off with kind of not the greatest form to now have 10 assists. I think that's 2 goals this season as well.
Stunning.
And it's like, but people keep telling me, oh no, there's no conversation because Cancelo's all right. He's got like 4 assists or whatever. Andy Robertson's literally been outstanding, but it seems to be the narrative that because he can't play a diag every 10 minutes, he's not, even though he's better defensively than Cancelo and he's got more assists, but we can't talk about that. So that's going to be a debate towards the end of the season as well, Grizz, and we're going to note that as well. But yeah, also shout out to Mo, great ball. The reason he crosses it first time is because I don't think that space is there. If he maybe tries to even hook it, sometimes he does that outside left foot. I don't agree with it all the time. I think it looks good, but there's times when to do that and times when not to. So I think it was great decision making by Mo.
Pixelated Pigeon, always one of my favourite in the chat, especially because of the name as well. But he makes some good points.
And the thumbnail. Changes the thumbnail as well, by the way. This is a consistent changeable thumbnail. It's not always the same. So
Robbo turned up with an incredible block as well, because that was vital. I think Dele Alli, one of their
Iwobi was running in and he just gets in. He's actually been very good at that this season as well. But yeah. No,
he has. And I'm gonna let you have where's it gone? I've missed it now. Basically, the other substitution that we haven't paid tribute to, because I don't know where to start with this guy. We've spoken very highly of him, but we want your opinion on this fella, Luis Diaz. There's a couple of incidents that we're going to talk about that sort of lit up the show, lit up the game, where crowd went wild. One of those was where he pulls out a ball from however high, whatever. I don't know. I'm a bit old, lads. What do you call that? Like, what's that known as, Errol, these days? Like, what is that move? Like, someone in the chat, let me know.
Literally the Diaz, bro. I don't
know what you call that. Like, I'm old school. Like, I don't know. Like,
Colombian flake. Whatever.
There's no words, Chris. There's no words.
Well, Sam, describe that, and then describe his impact on the game, and describe what he brings to the crowd, the passion, the vibrancy, the urgency, all done like he's playing with us like in a 7-a-side. Like, I'll pick you up, guys. We're going for a 7-a-side. Let's have a laugh and a giggle. But he's fucking insane.
He's not getting away with that in 7-a-sides, Chris. Sorry to interrupt, Sam. He's not getting away with that in 7-a-sides. I'll tell you that for free. That's a small stadium. Straight away, he's getting taken out.
Not in the establishment.
Yeah, not in our footy. Do you know what? When he first come, even up until the League Cup final, every time he did something, he kept apologising. And Jota was the same when he first came. Like, it's like, oh my God, I'm part of the front 5 or 4. Or like, oh, I'm sorry if I make a short pass. Or now he's just like, he's just feeling it. He just knows he's there. The boys look at him. You know, when he plays and Salah's on the right. See, if you look at the first half, and Conrad was saying before, Salah played okay, but he had 3 men on him. Yeah. Because we had Jota on the left, who's not going to expose you with the pace. When Diaz, and he's lovely, I love Jota, but he's just not the same type of player. When you got Diaz on the left and Salah on the right, that's a serious problem for teams, because you've got 2 absolutely explosive players who can just roast 2-3 men at any time on either side. And when he came on, it was just evident. It was like he couldn't wait. Well, I don't know if you would have noticed this. I'm not sure how it showed on the TV, but there was one where he skips past their right back, I think, and goes right along the byline and wins a corner. He turns to the top and he's going, come on. Like, he gets it. He understands us. It's like Thiago got it from the off. I know we had his injuries, and we loved him for it. We took him in. This guy gets it. He's just on a different planet. And I think, like, what that touch that he did, right, at the end of the game, he's walking off the pitch and Curtis Jones walks up to him and we're all sort of cheering, but it was clear what happened. And Curtis Jones goes, yeah, he's like, and he does the sort of that ball coming out the sky, and he ruffled his head as if to say, you're a joke. Like, as if to say, what? Like, that was ridiculous. That's his own player who's on the bench who would have loved to come on the derby.
I love that.
They know how good this guy is. I think now Klopp's like, Jesus Christ, this kid. Like, I honestly don't think it's Salah vibes when he first came, but not necessarily the goals and assists. He's performing at a level where teams are now like, wow, we've got a new problem here. It's like,
They can't work him out, Sam. They can't work him out. That's the biggest thing I've noticed. They can't work him out.
I've described him like when Sadio Mane first joined us. Sadio Mane was raw, unpredictable, strong.
I think he's better.
Different. Technically, he's better, Sam.
Yeah.
But in terms of the unpredictability, the X factor.
I think Emirates Mane though at right wing beating 3
Oh
men.
that's
I think Mane was quite good as well. Like I get what you're saying. Technically, maybe there's a debate there, but I get what you're saying.
But look where we are now. To come into this team and make the impact he's got, where we're all saying now he's in our Champions League final team. He's in it. Like right now, he's in it. He's in the Villarreal semi-final team that we want to blow them away first leg, 100%. Which obviously we'll spend loads of time and energy talking about later in the week. But he's that good, and he's coming to a team that's like, it's like if you compare Grealish coming into Man City's team, who is supposed to be the best team in Europe, they always are with the bookies every year. Big price, big reputation, the sweetheart of English football, and he's done okay. That's it. Yep. Diaz has come into a Liverpool team and taken us from 14 points, 8 points, whatever behind. Maybe we've won a trophy and we're going to win the lot. Open the door for a City and we'll clean the lot up. That's where we are, and I think part of it's because of Diaz. He's lifted that front line to another planet, and give him the ball. There's going to be games now where we say, like Newcastle away, maybe give him the ball. You know what? It's 0-0. Give him the ball, and he'll just do something.
We asked for names and sort of descriptive words for that in this day and age, right? Twitter, and I've seen something, right, Errol? And this is fucking. This is. He deadened it with sauce.
Yes,
that's up there. That's up there. Sawtooth Fred. Sawtooth Fred. Comment tonight.
Oh shit! He didn't do it with sauce. Okay. I don't know. Hassan.
I think we miss half the things, Grizz, in the chat because the chat are always spot on. But see, because it goes so quick sometimes.
By the way, there's still over 530 of you. Hopefully, there's at least 250 likes. Like, even if you don't like me, if you don't like Conroy, if you don't like Errol, you must like our debutant Sam. You must like him. If you do, fucking smash a like. But just very quickly, let me read this out and then you go. Diaz reminds me of Suarez in terms of street football and the grit. However, he has more pace. These Americans, again, that word saucy. These South Americans are saucy players. Sorry, Errol.
No. He's spot on. And I think the only thing I was going to add to that was this is Diaz without a preseason.
100%. 100%.
I genuinely think Klopp has basically said to him, you get it, your energy, your morals, the way you are as a player, you have a clear understanding of how we play, and you can emulate that. Go and play on your natural game right now, because I want a body of work from you that I can strip back. I'm going to absorb everything you've done from January to May and tell you all the things we're going to sit down and we're going to have a meeting. I'm going to tell you all the things I've liked about what you've done, and then all the things I'm going to change to make you the next Mohamed Salah or the next Mane, in terms of when you're on certain runs, this is where I want you to do. When the ball's played in this position on the pitch, this is where I want the run to come from. All those are the things are going to happen over that pre-season. But right now, the fact that he has this air of unpredictability and he's got the raw quality and minerals to deliver on the pitch, Klopp's just happy with what he's seeing. So he's not trying to overload him, and he can't even fucking talk to him still probably, but he's not trying to overload him.
Yeah.
Andy Robertson and Diaz in the left wing, I can't even imagine, by the way. I can't even imagine.
A match made in heaven, but he's not trying to overload them with too many instructions right now. He will give him that time, and we'll probably see Diaz play in a slightly different way next season, but this season it's the acid test. Let's just see what you've got, because you get it. And we've not, apart from Jota, we've not really had many forwards that we've been able to just throw in that way. But we've absolutely nailed it spot on with Luis Diaz and
Errol, do you know what's happened here? This is how I see it, right? Honestly, I believe this. Madrid are getting Mbappe. Edward said, hold my fucking beer.
Yeah.
Not like on Champ Manager, the way you just go and find some kid. That's what Edward did. You think, we're not getting Mbappe. Yeah, he's sick, unbelievable. Check this.
Yeah.
Because he's got them vibes.
This is another important point that we forget. Spot on, more hot sauce coming, because you know my thoughts on Fabio Carvalho.
And we've got that kid from Celtic just come through as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's very good. But Fabio Carvalho, in my humble opinion, is going to be fighting for a first team place. That's how good that kid is. But we talked about sort of the attack and how it can be improved. and Conroy, again, a brilliant segue into this part I wanted to speak to, and this wasn't planned, but that second half formation that he turned to, whether it's by design, whether it's by need or necessity, we went to a 4-4-2 or 4-2-4. Yeah. Well, basically, Fabinho and Thiago went to a pivot. Mo went, as Sam says, Mo went wide left, wide right. Diaz went
byline wide,
byline, and Jota was joined up with Bobby in the middle. Fucking hell, that's a frightening prospect. And again, we often speak about the evolution of our attack and our team. Do you see that over the preseason being worked on? Have we got the personnel now? Finally, has Jurgen Klopp got the resources to play this and vary it and just fucking change it up whenever we want to and can? It makes us even more frightening. The way I look at it, because they didn't know how to handle us in that second half. All their counterattacks stopped bar 1 or 2, and we just penned them in. It was like a different level we went up, and I love that formation change from Jurgen.
No, I love it as well, Grizz, and I can tell it's been worked on. For me, it's a low block. It's against low blocks because I'm fed up of hearing people say a low block means we can't break them down. You should be better than that. You should work on that. And I've been calling out that for about a year now, maybe a year and a half. And obviously that's what they're doing. So you can tell Klopp now is quite trigger happy with moving into that formation. Earlier, he's done it a few times this season because he knows they're not going to offer more. So say 4-2-4. We'll call it a 4-2-4 for the sake of this conversation, Grizz. He does that and it allows us to get further up the park, but it also allows people, when you've got a Diaz and a Mo, to go a bit wider, but get on the ball, keep penning them in. Actually, to be perfectly honest, like if you talk about, say, Manchester United when they had their era, like especially with Beckham and Giggs, they used to score a lot of late goals because they'd pen teams in. And it's not about we're playing glorious football. It's just if you've got enough people in the box and you're constantly barraging defences, you're going to get a chance. And ultimately, that's what happens. Sometimes I think there's too much of an arrogance about football, and that's why I'm loving this, because you can do that to rescue. I call it rescuing games. And to me, it's great to see, because that's 65, 70 minutes he made that change roughly, I think. Maybe even a bit earlier than that.
A bit earlier.
But 60 minutes, right? That's great, because he's probably looking at like, well, they're not going to really offer anything. And there'll be teams who'll do that in the future. They're not going to offer much on the counter. Maybe a few instances, but that would be like that in general with our high line anyway. And this option allows us to just pen teams in. And I think it's actually an excellent thing to see going forward. Because, like in the past, like Wolves, for example, when we played Wolves and it was like 0-0, in fairness, Jota misses a sitter in that game. But there's several games in the past, especially at home, where we run out of ideas. And this formation change I think, is invaluable in the future.
It is, because look, how many times have we teams, practically every team knows, every coach knows, we're basically 4-3-3 because we've got the best 3 in Europe and we're going to play them 3 and that's the way it's going to go. But Sam, it is another weapon. It's another string to our bow. Or bow to string to our bow. Have I said it the right way around? Yeah. Because I fuck up normally when I do that. But I should have enough practice now. But it is, isn't it? Because they didn't know how to handle it. They were set up for a 4-3-3 and survive. But suddenly, as Conroy says, finally, Jurgen Klopp has the resources to do it. I think Jurgen Klopp, I know for a fact, Jurgen Klopp has become a very good manager, especially in his game management, because he would have never had the resources at Dortmund and he never had them at Liverpool in the early years, right? Now he's learned how to use them. So, people always said, like Conroy often speaks about, he doesn't make, and you said it as well, he doesn't make changes. I think he's been more open to now because he's got the players at his disposal. He's got more weapons to choose from. I think he's made him even a better coach, guys.
Yeah, and what? Another thing to add to that is the trust. Like, you look at Keita now. I mean, I've always been a fan of Keita when he's fit. I think he's always been able to affect games, but he hasn't been fit enough. Klopp said it this week, rhythm. I believe Curtis Jones has stepped up again this season in terms of what he can be relied on more. He might not be ready yet to hit them Thiago, Hendo, Fab levels, but he's gaining more trust. Jota's gained his full trust. Diaz has got his full trust. Tsimikas has gained his trust. Kanate has gained his trust. Keller, we can go on. Yeah. Gomez is already. There's 18 players, 19 players now that have got his trust. Elliott had it. I don't know if he's just rebuilding it back or whatever, and that helps when you're a manager who needs your team. What we're seeing with our noisy M62 neighbours at the moment, the City Blues, is they're losing trust. Pep's losing trust, and he's been making less substitutions. We're making more, and I do think that comes down to the cohesiveness and what we've got available to us. So as we move forward, as I mentioned earlier on in the stream, we'll see maybe 2 changes per game, and he'll make those subs because he now trusts that if he brings Tsimikas in, he can do what he needs to do. But on the formation, we had, when we won the league, we had that 4-2-3-1 to go to, didn't we, with Shaqiri coming in and sometimes Origi and Bobby dropping in behind. But obviously, we've seen it before. I couldn't think of what game it was, and maybe one of our friends in the chat can help us. There was a game this season where Div comes on.
Norwich.
Yes, Norwich. That's the last time he's affected a game before today. Div comes on and we go 4-2-4 and it kills their defensive showing. They couldn't handle an extra body in the box with 2 centre-backs, 1v1 with strikers. And we went and win the game 3-1 instantly. It happened then, and it happened again today. That 4-2-4 is definitely something we can do with the personnel we've got. Obviously, if Div goes, that might change next season. Who knows what? I don't know if Bobby can play right up there, whether he has to play in that hole.
That's why maybe need the replacement, Sam, for like Div. And when I mean a replacement, I don't mean like a like a 9, like a proper 9, because it doesn't work unless you have a 9. You need a 9 when you're doing something.
Well, funny you should mention a number 9. Neil H says, "What would we be with a Darwin Núñez up front, though?" It would just be an option, right? Because
I think we'll be more subtle in that. I think we'll get a replacement that's a bit like not a massive transfer, if you know what I mean. Because I think it's a hard one to replace. But it'll be interesting. Possibly, it might be Núñez. Núñez could do that, but I don't know if he's going to come and even if it's a bit more
than 5th, 6th choice,
even if it's a bit more than Origi's mate, because obviously he can press more than Origi. So don't get me wrong, there's that. I think Klopp will look for a striker who can press. But for me, I think it's going to be in a mould of someone who's either a bit younger and is willing to bind their time, and they can eventually come in as a 9 who can press. Because that
I don't think we're going to bring in.
You don't think anyway? See, that's a debate for another day.
But if no one leaves, Conroy.
Oh yeah, I'm on the basis if Origi leaves. That's what I'm saying.
No, even if Origi leaves. Even if Origi leaves,
I think that would be a chink in our armour, to be honest, because you can't always win. Look at the Wolves game. Look at games today when we've had to go to 4-2-4. You're going to 4-2-4 with 3 of those players who are under 5'9" or 5'10".
Oh, you're talking about the.
I'm not. Listen, forget that, because Sergio Aguero was like. I'm saying in general, though, I think you do need, when you're chasing games, right? You need a 9 in your team. I'm not saying it plays, but you do need that. It's called rescuing games, and I just think you need it in your bag. You want to be. You're competing with one of the best squads ever. I think to not have a 9 would be detrimental. And the height thing, it's just exaggeration. But what I mean is, like, I do think you need someone there, just that presence in the air when you're chasing a game. I think.
But I think I get the present. I get the physical side of.
You can't always win with plan A or B, Grizz. You need to.
Sure, no, I get you. But again, City have shown that you don't have to cross the balls in the air necessarily to play that system. And Jota could be that Divock Origi in those moments for me.
In the future.
I don't know if someone wants to take this. If Divock Origi is so good, why doesn't he get more games?
I thought I answered that before.
I was going to say, I think it might have been.
Player?
Yeah, it was from before, and it was after I said what I said. But I'll say it again. It's simply because when he came back after that injury, our front three was cemented. He was not able to play in the style in which we have gone on to play and win the Premier League and the Champions League since then. He's been able to come on and make an impact, but he has not been able to remove Bobby, Mane or Salah from one of those positions because of the form that they've been on for the last 3 years. And that's simply why he doesn't get more games. Klopp still trusts him and he still comes up with big goals in important games.
Oh, Klopp definitely trusts him. Sorry, go on,
he comes on and affects games when it's frantic. So when it's either 1-1, 0-0, we're chasing the game or whatever, the rhythm of the game where we're setting up and we're setting traps and we're pressing and we're doing what we need to do, he can't do that. He's proven it. As someone said it in the aftermath on the punditry, I think it might have been Carragher, he said, he can't do those things. He can't affect games from the beginning. He's not a starting player anymore, maybe in the cups. But when he comes on and the games are just, they've lost rhythm. It's about individual. It's about little patterns of play. It's about a moment. That's Divock Origi when we need a one-touch finish. But when you want him to fly down the ring, cut inside, play a 1-2 with Thiago, get him behind, you take a man on, then square it for a tap-in, he's not going to do that. And that's the difference. I think so that he's good enough to be a moments player, or he's good enough to be a Newcastle striker. He's never going to be Liverpool's go-to for 5 games.
Yeah, defender from the front, Sam. We talk about important as in football now, and you need to be able to press. So I even the Newcastle think is questionable because the way they want to play, they probably want a striker who can press. But I get it. Like I think spot on. I think it's just unfortunate timing, but it's just.
It is. It's unfortunate timing.
You talk about Man United. Ronaldo's like the greatest, but he can't press now, and he can see gaps. So the best teams have your front forward who's pressing, and I think it's unfortunate timing.
Motti, who was a caller the other night as well, and I was ribbing him about he likes shiny new toys in terms of he wants new players. So he's having a go back at me. He's saying, "How was that shiny new toy? Eh? Just like your hat, man. Sublime. Thank you. The win today was as sweet as your first kiss with extra honey on. You will never walk alone." I think this is absolutely Drifty from Team Copy. Shout out to Drifty.
It's not going to be anyone else. I can guarantee.
Football without Origi means nothing.
Matt and Callum have not got access to that account right now. It is him.
Do you remember when we was ready to drive him to the airport?
That was brilliant.
Oh, funny.
Listen,
we were doing so well. No one had mentioned that, right? You fucking came out.
I'll pay the mileage. You
just destroyed us yourself. But listen.
Edo chose violence. He woke up and he chose violence.
How many times have I said it? Fan channels have to be natural, and you have to give your reactions after a game. Your natural reaction. It can't be predetermined. It can't be fake. You got to say it how you see it and how you speak. And what was after what was it, Errol, man? It was after I don't know. It was a disaster performance from him or something.
Was it a League Cup game he played with the Arsenal or something like that? Did he play the first?
Yeah, where we expected him to step up.
He wasn't there. Yeah, he wasn't there. It was that period where we was expecting him to be there and he wasn't there. So I was like,
yes,
done. Send him away.
Yeah. Listen, Drift. What it was, right? Let me explain.
Listen. The context.
There's always context. What it was the period where Mo and Mane had gone to African nations. And I was saying that one of the reasons why we haven't got rid of Origi is because we expect him to come to the party in that period. And he was unavailable for that period. And it fucking got me agitated and wound me up. It was nothing against Origi. It was just the scenario and the frustration of the situation. Why isn't Origi here to do what Origi does in this situation? And me and Errol were willing to be Uber drivers, share the journey, share the petrol and just drive him to wherever airport he wanted to. But Sam, I want to come back to you because you was at the ground. I want you to tell me when Alisson caught that in the 80th, near the end, right? It was a pot shot from one of their players, right? And he mimics Pickford. Was that one of the biggest cheers that you've heard this season?
Honestly, I've seen ironic.
Did you see it? Did you realize what's happened and what he's done?
Oh yeah. It was the opposite end to me, but honestly, the whole place erupted. You've seen ironic cheers, when you just don't get any free kicks, and then you get one. It's like, way, or when it's really hostile, like the Barcelona game, and Suarez does something bad, and we were like, ooh. But this was on another. I've never seen a whole ground cheer for something so funny. It was just the ultimate cherry on the cake to put on Everton. Their end was emptying out. Show them the way to go home. All that, right? It was all going off. Jurgen Klopp, the song. It was just, and then Alisson. It was just that is just perfect. And just to shout out Alisson, by the way, he walked down the other end of the pitch at the end of the game and gave his gloves to one of the stewards. There was obviously a story there, so big up Alisson for being a kind gentleman for that. But honestly, mate, sometimes, obviously I'm privileged enough to be able to be at the home games, not so much the away games like yourselves, but honestly, that was fucking brilliant. He goes down, and it's almost he caught it, and it was and then he went, I'm going down here. And then it was like, it wasn't just like Pickford was doing it willy-nilly. Like he knew what he was doing, it predetermined. But Alisson caught and then kind of went, "Now I'm going down here." And then he went
But
down.
it's so not like him. He doesn't. You don't accustom Alisson to do some shithousery or something like that. It was slightly out of character, maybe. You can imagine Adrian doing something like that, right? But Alisson, it was so, and it just shows you that we're so focused and tuned in into what their games were and what they were doing, and we're aware of it. And we changed that in the second half. We were aware of what you're doing, you're fucking about. And Robbo spoke about it after the game. Like I was telling the lads, and because you can imagine Robbo would have played like them if he was playing for them, if you know what I mean. Like you can imagine Robbo doing all those tactics, right? If he was,
it's not that bad. People exaggerate it sometimes.
No, but you don't have to be that bad.
Robbo would definitely be on that. Robbo and Jota would be all over that.
But there's nothing wrong with it. That's look.
No, slowing it down and stuff like I think more like the try to break people's legs is a different level, to be honest.
No.
Yeah.
No. I know you're not saying that, but I think like in fairness though, it's like not to the extent, but I do think we've learned to deal with that, especially. As you said, going back to what Errol said, it's a dress rehearsal for Villarreal, because maybe not to that extent, but they're going to do that. Just like don't get involved, forget about it, and see, as long as the ref, as much as you like disagree with the way it was dealt, I think they should book him early. But see, today they didn't add the time on. But see, if the ref adds the time on, I honestly don't care. I think you don't care. It's the problem is sometimes it's like I've never seen a ref give 4 minutes additional time. It's always 2. When it's like they've been play acting, there's been a VAR check, and there's been a booking. So as long as they do that, I think they're happy. So
big up St. LFC TV in the house last night. He was on my call-up show. He said Origi is the man. He's the best goal scorer.
Yeah, he was also saying he was driving from the airport as well, so don't listen to him.
Was he?
Talking absolute lies. No, I'm joking.
Fair enough.
I was watching the cup final with him. He was like, "Get Origi out." I'm only joking.
Errol, you was going to say something?
No, I was going to say that's the only time ever I want to see Alisson Becker impersonating Jordan Pickford.
100%.
I think he was a bit serious, by the way, guys. I don't know, was it different at the stadium, Sam? Because like, see, after it, I watched him and his face was quite serious, Alisson. Like, I don't think he was, but everyone else found it humorous. But I think that he was quite annoyed with the way like he'd been going about it.
Oh yeah, we must have been.
No, but you know, some people were like Pickford's like smiling at the camera doing it. But I think Alisson inside was actually it was more a dig than a humorous thing. So because he's quite a straight faced guy, isn't he?
He was sending shots.
100%.
He's making goalkeepers look bad.
Do you know what? He can't affect the game neither, can he? Like going forward. So Alisson's seeing all these antics, and he can't. Like all the rest of the players can speed it up. They can get in their faces. They can kick them back. They can score a goal. Alisson can't affect that, so that's the only time he can do his bit.
Yeah. And you see,
he gets that ball, and that's his moment to say in your face. Like I said, he waited for a second, and then he went down. He was definitely like, "I'm angry."
Comedy genius, honestly.
If you noticed in the first half when that melee happened as well, Pickford runs out of his goal and gets involved in it. Where Alisson's calm as fucking just, you don't see him in shot, which suggests to me he didn't get involved.
He's an idiot.
As Sam said, that's his moment and that's his opportunity to say, yeah, this is what I'm going to give you a piece of my mind as well. And it was in that first second, he takes the ball from Richarlison, he takes it into his midriff. And on another day, he just stays on his feet and moves it quick. But he just knew exactly what time it was.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, mate, it was fucking genius. He gets us.
He does. And so does this coach at the end. He comes on and, Sam, hope you stayed around for the fist pump. I'm sure you would have. You would not have missed that for anything. He does a fist pump and he just keeps us going. And, we've had a brilliant week, but we have absolute no rest because what's up next, right? We've spoken about beating Man City at Wembley, Man United, Everton. Now we've got the small matter of a Champions League semi-final. And in my opinion, I've been very vocal about it. For me, possibly the most difficult league game left just a few days later, because I genuinely think the atmosphere at Anfield will take care of Spurs. I know everyone's talking about Spurs, Conte, but it's at Anfield and we know how to rev it up. I think Newcastle midday, they're the form team, believe it or not. They're one of the form teams. I think that's going to be the tricky one, especially on the back of thing. We just got to trust Klopp in terms of, as you said, and the sports science people in terms of how he rotates this team for the next 2 games and just gets it right, and we trust him to get it right?
Yeah, 100%. Coming back to the Klopp thing, honestly, this is like mad, but I don't always stay throughout the season. If we're winning and there's like 92 on the clock, I'll go. If there's like 30 seconds, I'll try and catch the final whistle on my way down, so I see the whole game, but I'm able to get out. But when it gets serious, like this back end or big games, you don't leave your seat. So those moments when Klopp comes forward and you see, it's not just the fist bumps, it's when you can see his face as well. His whole body language, his demeanour, it's real. Do you know what I mean? And like, feel privileged to see it and be part of it. And I'm sure you've all at some point been on the end of it where you're from, like it feels like he's punching to you. Do you know what I mean? Because you're part of that. He's punching to us all as Liverpool fans. But yeah, so moving forward to the next bit, I agree with you about Newcastle. The only thing I would say is they're not really fighting for anything at the moment. They're kind of on a roll. Villarreal's an interesting one. I'm glad we're playing them at home first. I have Roma vibes about it, in that if we were playing away first, a bit like they did with Bayern, they can control the tie a little bit because they're very defensive minded, whereas we're probably better defensively than them when we want to be. So having that Anfield sort of experience in the first leg, 3 home games on the spin, so we're not having to travel, recover at home, go again, recover at home, go again. I think we're okay. Newcastle are playing, things are going well for them at the moment. They're playing a lot of teams that aren't really got loads to play for. They played Everton and lost, didn't they, when they had a bit to play for? I think they're in a position where it doesn't really matter if they get beat. So they're not going to put an Everton performance on us. So I agree with you 100%. By the way, that is the game because it's in between the Champions League. But I also think we're in control of it because I said before, Man City's there. Nothing else is higher. Every other game this season sits below it on the mountain.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think that because of that, we can go to the well no matter what.
And I think also Jimmy makes a good point. The 12:30 kickoff could be a blessing. Atmosphere won't be as loud and buzzing if it was a 5:30 kickoff that we tried to get it changed to. So that could be a blessing in disguise for us, actually. Errol, man, another major week coming up, man. I don't know. I titled the show last week, Dream Until We Can't Dream No More. Mm-hmm. Again, and what I said was every week, the more we speak about it, the closer we get, because it means we're closer, we're getting closer, we're not out of that. I don't know, man. Just talk to me. Calm me down.
I feel maybe because City fans aren't maybe as vocal on Twitter, or there's not that as many of them about. For whatever reason, it feels like Liverpool fans are speaking this quadruple into existence. And I am just hoping that the football gods have looked down on us, looked at everything we've been through in the Premier League era, and says, this is your crowning moment. This is the moment that cements you guys as the greatest of all time. Liverpool is the GOAT team of English football. Debate closed, and we closed the book. Everything after that then is afterthought. Whatever happens afterwards, happens afterwards. But up until this point, because we've seen it all, we've seen the early, that kind of the infantry of the Prem and how it's all developed, and like the Blackburns, the Newcastles, their heydays, Everton being half decent, dropping off. You've seen a great Manchester United side come from these managers. You've seen 2 really revolutionary managers. You've seen new money come into the league. You've seen the most expensive teams ever assembled. You've literally seen a catalogue of all of this history now. And then the crown and defining moment could potentially be this Liverpool Premier League side that Jurgen Klopp has assembled. And mate, I am hanging on a knife edge to just hope that actually comes to fruition, because from a Liverpool fan's perspective, I don't need to debate nobody again, bro. Like, if that happens, we don't need to chat. I only want to chat to Liverpool.
If I see you in another spaces, if we do this, I'm blocking you on every platform. You don't need to be in any spaces.
No more spaces. It's done. It's done. It's finished. It's a wrap, bro. Literally, I'm only chatting to Liverpool man from now on, and Liverpool women. Nobody else can get that time. It's done.
Listen, if we go to the last week, right? If we go to the last week, where even if we just need something to happen at the Etihad, But if there's 2 games to go in the season, one of them's in our hands and one of them, even if it's not, to win the quadruple, heads will be falling off. County Road, which we know in Liverpool as well, the Blue Nars are, they'll be piss boiling. Fucking people rolling like eggs down the road. It will be glorious.
You take that right now, wouldn't you? You take that right now. Just to put that pressure on in the last day. Even listen, it's like City, like as a footballing team, unbelievable, right? If you can just take it to that last day, right now, the way I see it going, I would take that. Like I would bite your hand off that right now if you can just take it to that last day, because you never know then, because that'll be like unprecedented, the atmosphere everywhere. So we'll see.
Everton fans will have fucking got on the early summer holidays, mate, because can you imagine we won the Champions League and the city was a shutdown. We didn't get to celebrate the Prem and do a fucking parade. If we are bringing home 4 trophies, bro, I've already told you, Liverpool are giving, as a city, we're giving ourselves an extra bank holiday. Fuck a Queen's bank holiday. We're giving ourselves an extra one.
County Road with
Love it.
I told you the chat never lets us down. The chat never lets us down. Well, I hope they haven't let us down. I hope we've got enough likes to ratio to listeners, because we can speak all night. This has been one of my favorite shows, but I say that every week because every week we support Liverpool, and every week Liverpool give us happy moments, great chats, great debates.
I've actually not thought of it, Grizzle. See, I just keep doing it game by game.
No, that's what I've got you. I know, that's why I love you.
I'm doing game by game. But if actually does happen, I might have a meltdown. Like I might have a meltdown.
You're gonna go the maddest because you're the quietest, right? So the quietest always go the maddest, right?
I know.
So that's
why you're not see me for a month. I'll just
you're coming down, but you're coming down the M8. That's what you're coming down.
I know.
Absolutely.
Down the M6 across the 62.
Guys, I don't even know where we're gonna do, what we're gonna do with this, man. We just have to keep talking up on it. We just have to keep backing our team, supporting our team, believing in our team. And wherever this road leads, man, it's not even a road, is it, lads? It's like the final. We can see it. It's just there. Do you remember the analogy I gave about the tunnel? And Man City gave us a flick to light about 8 weeks ago, and we saw light because there was a tunnel, right? 14 points. It was a dark tunnel, and we couldn't see light. But then they flicked to light, and my God, we've gone for that light. And listen, when Liverpool are chasing you down, the momentum of this football club, this city, is so powerful that the world notices it. Absolutely, the world notices it. And someone said earlier in the chat, rivals have gone from they can't do it.
Saint LFC, yeah, he said rivals.
They've gone from they can't do it too. I hope they don't fucking do it, right? And you can see it. And look, we may disastrously, we may not win another trophy this season. But my God, we can't fault the effort and the times, and just cherish this, man. Enjoy it. If we can't enjoy these moments, what are we in this game for? What are we as fans supporting a football team for? These are the moments that we live for. Fucking hell, guys, it's April the what? 24th. April the 24th, right?
25th tomorrow.
And we've played every single game in every single competition, and we're still keeping going. And we've got another 2 minimum in the Champions League, right, where we're favourites. So we've got a cup final waiting for us. And our target is, as Conroy and you guys have said, take it to the last week in the Premier League against the most expensively assembled squad in the history of the fucking game. Think about that. And we're the only ones stopping them from making it a Bundesliga.
100%,
We are.
100%.
Facts, bro. Spit it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
We are the only team and the only coach that are making it a relevant league. And there's opposition fans and rival fans that don't care about that. The hypocrisy amongst the opposition fan base, the Uniteds and the Chelseas and Arsenal, it makes you sick. It makes you sick because they call all the other leagues farmers' leagues. But you pussy-os, this is a farmers' league if it wasn't for us. It would be a farmers' league. This would be the 4th title in 5 years, Conroy, for City, guys. I'm sure something like that.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Support.
Because even Chelsea, like, look at the gap between Chelsea for a few seasons were like winning a title, doing something under Conte. But even there, the gap, as I said about 6 months ago, they weren't in the same level, and I've been proven right. You can see that they're just not. They're not in that mentality that a draw, you lose the league if you draw a game. They don't have that. They don't have those standards, and
They got lucky
Yeah.
today as well. Fucking lucky. Did you
Yeah,
see George
yeah,
Hill's penalty?
I don't even watch them. I don't even watch how the
No,
football.
but I've spoke about this, Errol. Grizz, they were people were laughing at me when I said this. Now, it doesn't work every time, but see if the keeper does not dive, and I know it sounds mad, but if he's got the bottle to stay there, right, he's got a chance of saving it. If he dives early, he's done, because it's the whole point of the technique, right? So Fabianski just says, no, I'll stay here, and he saves it. And that's like, honestly, he will score some of them, but more keepers.
I'm not ending the show speaking about Jorginho and Chelsea.
Sorry, yeah.
Conway.
It just it annoyed me because I'd someone done it and I was like, Fabianski, well done, mate. That's all I was saying. Well done, mate.
Man, fucking they I tweeted it and I triggered. I love triggering fucking Chelsea. Like, is that really your Ballon d'Or contender on merit? Like, did you actually believe that? Did you fucking believe that? But listen, fuck them. You know, as that you've seen that meme going around, fuck Chelsea. You know, that guy, fuck Chelsea. Listen, we ain't about Chelsea, we're about Liverpool, man, the greatest club in the world. Guys, it's been fantastic. Sam, Errol, thank you so much, guys, for coming on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you both, as usual. Conroy, what day is it tomorrow? Monday, we'll have a no, we can't. When are we playing? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. Yeah. So
okay.
Tuesday.
Monday night. No, actually, I might do the preview tomorrow to Villarreal again. Fucking hell, straight back into it. And no small games. Champions League semi-final, baby. Fucking hell, under the lights at Anfield. This is what big dogs do. Oh man, I'm excited already. And chatting to you guys has not made me any more calmer. But listen. Hopefully Conroy's got the outro ready. By the way, did you see I messed it up the other day without you? I fucking walked into the show without an intro, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. This has been Redfellas. We out of here. Take care.